welcome to the Scinomix Learning, newest installment of Lab Automation Made Simple webinar. We're here to talk about sample traceability and the concerns that the industry is having and the Scinomix features that could help with sample traceability. I'm Mark Harris. I've been an account manager here for a little over 8 years. I'm primarily the account manager for the East Coast region, and I'm joined here with panelist Nick Shepard.
Hey, everyone.
He is our resident expert on the features that we're going to show today, which is what we call image capture, and it really helps with that traceability.
Yep.
So we have a little bit of an agenda you'll see on the side of your screen. We want to talk about what modernizing traceability looks like. So we'll talk about industry concerns and pain points when it comes to being able to trace and track their samples. And then we'll have a little bit of an overview of the image capture module before we show you a live product demonstration. So Nick will run the demonstration. He'll walk you through what the machine is doing and then the background, the software side of what it looks like for you. After that, we'll have a quick Q&A session. And we like to remind people that on your screen, you see there is a Q&A button. At any point in time during this webinar, if you have a question, click on that button and type the question. And then at the end, Nick will open up all of the questions and read them out, and we'll answer them for you.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Perfect. So let's talk about the industry challenges in the pain points in achieving traceability. And it's sort of broken down into 4 main topics. If information is inaccurate or missing altogether, the users are having issues with loss of time and loss of materials.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're inaccurate or you're incomplete. And then we want to talk about regulatory. We've heard this more and more within the last 3-ish years. There are concerns about traceability and having records that can be altered at some point. So what our normal Scinomix systems have, the VX systems, is a CSV file, so a comma-separated file, but there are concerns that people can go in and manipulate the data after the run results are in. So we want to talk about how we can really address that issue, and we think we have a solution. And then the last one is volume verification. So for all of those that are using automation right now to label your tubes and vials, we've heard this. Hey, thanks, Mark. That's great. We've automated this. Thank you, Nick. But now when the machine is putting the label on, it's covering up information that's on that tube or vial that we would like to still see when the label is applied. And it's mainly those graduation lines, so that you can verify the volume with a quick check, a visual check. So we talked about how can we solve for those issues that we're seeing in the industry. And that is the image capture module that we install onto our VX tube and vial labelers. So the image capture really does 3 main things. The first thing it does, and that's what we introduced early on, is it takes an image either of a current label. So think biobanking, where people have old labels, but they want to apply a new one.
Yep.
But they need to have that old information. So it'll take a sliced image, right, of a rounded out tube label and document that image before you do whatever it is that you're going to do with it. But the second thing that it does, and this is what has opened it up to more industries, we have the ability to align the label on the side of the tube to be able to show whatever part of the tube with the label and whatever part without the label. So we have that alignment feature. We've always been able to align up and down where the tube is going, but now we can do it on the side using the image capture module. And the third thing is traceability, and that's back to those regulatory standards to where we can actually save information and make it so that it is not adjustable or alterable because it's an image. And we always talk about how Scinomix equipment is easy to install. You can either order the image capture module with a new system, or we can, in the field, upgrade systems to put the image capture features on your current VXL and VX2. So that's sort of that high level overview. But now I want to turn this over to Nick so he will show you the live product demonstration.
Perfect. Hopefully everybody can see that now. It should be spotlighted for you. So we've got our VXL, which is on the first overview image or live camera feed. And then we also have kind of where all the magic happens there with the roller, if you're used to our instruments, but essentially where each individual tube gets processed in our VXL or VX2. So we do have this compatible with both labelers. The other thing to note that we don't have in view is our bulk feeders. So we have a VXQ and a VXI bulk feeder that is available with the VX. We're just not showing that in this demo, but it is compatible. If you have the image capture module, you can also still utilize those bulk feeders for your larger runs that will pre-rack or rack the tubes for you. So anyways, as you can see, there's a couple differences specifically around the roller. So we have an LED light that illuminates the tube for a clear image. And then we have the camera, which is essentially taking small images and stitching them together as the tube rolls to basically generate a flat pattern of what is on that tube. So as Mark mentioned, if you're pre-scanning, you have existing labels that you want to overlabel a new label onto or take information from, or you want to do the alignment that he discussed. We're essentially scanning that initial tube, printing, and then we can also validate. So if you're used to our barcode scanners, we can also do the same side validation to assure that a label was applied and can be scanned further downstream. So that's enough talking for me. We will show you a little bit. I'll do a run of 3 and you can see it live, and then I'll share my screen on the software side. We'll do another run so you can see how it processes. So give me just a second here. We'll do a run of 3. We'll be kind of right in front here. So the arm will pick it up and place the tube in the roller. You see the light come on and it spins. So we're doing an alignment and then printing and applying. And then that second turn is the validation, making sure that that new label that we applied can be scanned down the line. So aligning, printing, validating. And then one more for good measure, picking the tube, placing in the roller, doing that first scan, aligning, printing, and then doing that validation scan. Okay, and hopefully you can see my screen now. So if you're brand new to Scinomix, welcome. We do have, obviously, our labelers here, our own software that has been developed and maintained in-house. So we have kind of our home screen here where I've already set up a run. You can see the label document on the right-hand side. So this is what is getting printed on each one of those tubes. Obviously, you can still use our CSV input file or work list that we call it, where you can add your specific rows if you have unique information to be applied to each individual tube. That is still available with the image capture module. We also have, obviously you'll see down here, a few new features where we are in the run steps capturing the existing label, aligning that, and then applying the label, and then capturing that printed label. So that's exactly what we kind of walked through in that live demonstration that we just did. So I'm going to go ahead and click next here. And we'll run a few more tubes. So you can select, or you can do all or none, right? Get our preview. And then if you have a user or someone who's with the instrument, or you just want to kind of check on things as the run is being processed, we can actually pull this up and you can see the images that we are taking and the validation that it's doing. So you get those live results mid-run. And the run's complete. So you still have your results file here, right? But you say, hey, Nick, Mark, I don't really want to see my stuff live. I just want the information that gets automatically placed into my server or folder directory, wherever you want to save it. We also do that. So after each run is processed, you will get a results file. Make sure I get the latest. So we have our results file as typical. Any run, even without image capture, will generate that results file. You can point it in any direction that you would like throughout or in the run setup. And then I also want to bring to your attention that we are generating a SQL file or a database that can be queried. And that actually houses the images as well. So full around the kind of data tracking, making sure that you are compliant, can go back years on data after running this and still be able to pick up the exact image that was printed and validate that that happened. I know that a lot of lab managers, directors, especially on quality control side and things, this is just another step forward in being able to check and verify and kind of sleep easy as you know that your data can be looked up in the future. So I think that is it. Mark, I don't know if I missed anything else, but
outside of people are going to ask us what the throughput is. So it's about 15 seconds per tube.
Yep.
From picking it up, scanning it the first time, applying the label, and then validating and putting it back. It's about 15 seconds per tube.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you can do a mix of any of those kind of sequences, right? Maybe you don't need to do the alignment, but you still want to take the image of the printed label and validate it. You can remove that other or that first initial scan. So what we're showing you here is basically the longest workflow, if I would say, with the image capture module.
We like to show all bells and whistles
Yes,
during webinar.
exactly. All right. We'll turn it right back over to Mark.
Just want to show you like a close-up picture of what the labeled tube looks like. These are the tubes that we have actually used during the demo.
Yep.
So you see how the graduation marks are still visible completely, and that the label is on the other side. So that's the use case that we used here.
Yeah, and just to highlight, and we'll get into it in a little bit, but maybe this is a good slide to talk about. We can still handle our wide range of tubes from about the 0.5 milliliter up to a 50 milliliter. So what you see on this screen here is just the example that we ran today, but we can still handle all of the various labware out there. So if you have questions or want to see it done, we can do a demo for you.
So the benefits of our image capture module are really threefold. And the first one is we are taking away the ambiguity of information. Pardon me, I'm going to cough. We're taking away that ambiguity of information that might not be there. So we already had, like Nick showed you, our initial run results file, which is a row for each tube. And it tells you what we did, including the data that we may or may not have printed onto the tube. But now we have that added file that has a picture, an image of the entire label that has been applied, which leads to the second point, which is tamper-proof records. So I talked about that with regulatory concerns before, that there has been growing concern about the ability to alter a CSV file and the information that's on there. We can't alter the image. You either have the image or you don't. So that information is stored either in our SQL table that is generated as a run result, or you can pull that information from that SQL table and put it into your LIMS so that it stays there forever. And then barcode validation, right? We still have that ability to validate the information that's on there. And that allows for the traceability, the trackability of the tube, because on our run results, it'll tell you in this rack, in this position, is the picture of this label that we applied. So those are those benefits of the image capture module. And we have some people that are on that actually have our image capture module that are participants, but for others, they might have some questions about what we can perform with image capture. And I hope that people have been throughout the webinar clicking on that Q&A and then running through some questions. But before that, we like to go over the questions that we have heard when presenting and selling the image capture module before, and then we'll open it up to the questions, and Nick will read those as well.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So the first one that we have here that we get all the time is what types of tubes are compatible with the image capture.
So luckily, image capture doesn't change the compatibility of tubes. So for the VX system, whether you have image capture or not, we can handle all the way from the 0.5 mil super skinny 96 well tubes up to a 50 mil conical tube.
Yeah, and to note, if you notice on the demo, we did a 2-inch tall, 1-inch wide label, which is about the largest that we utilize. So you can kind of see that it fills up the full window of the image. So that's about the max height as far as your labels are concerned as well. How does image capture integrate with the LIMS system? Yeah, and I think I can take this one, Mark, since we just kind of talked about it as well. But the Scinomix software can be directed through the run to whatever file directory that you have on your server or anywhere else, so that it can be kind of maintained by admin users or however you see fit, right? And in that directory, as long as you point it there, you will get that CSV results file that you can use as a reference, as well as that SQL database that you can call on or integrate further as you see fit. Does image capture replace a barcode scanner, Mark?
I like this question because the answer is yes and no. For the most part, the image capture module is going to replace a barcode scanner if you have a current barcode scanner that is validating the label that's being applied, because the camera's doing that for you.
Yep.
But there are those instances where we have users that still want to scan a 2D barcode image on the bottom of the tube. And in that case, you would have the image capture module and still the barcode reader with the mirror that points to the bottom of the tube. We would adjust the bracket, but you would have both.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Can I integrate image capture into any existing VX2 and VXL tube labeler?
Apparently, this is the second qualified yes. You can put the image capture module on current VX2 and VXL systems, and we could do it in the field. We always like to upgrade in the field. But there are two caveats. We've gone through 3 revisions of the VX2, VXL tube and vial handlers, and the first revision is when we changed printers. So there was a printer that we initially had when we first started making these that is now discontinued. A lot of you guys that are on, if you have those older systems, we've been communicating with you over the last 2.5 years. We can't support those printers. The parts are gone after the end of this year. So we wouldn't upgrade those systems. But second, we had a motor change in, 2021-ish? Maybe early 22?
Yeah, 22, I would say.
So we changed the motors, which included changing motor code and everything in the background of the system. And so we would want to upgrade labelers that have the new motors in them. And the best way for you to be able to tell if you have a system that is upgradable is by looking at the serial number. So there's a silver sticker on the back of the machine. The serial number is broken up into 3 different numbers, and it's the middle number that's really important for you to be able to tell that. The middle number will either say 001, 002, or 003. Anything with a 003 is upgradable.
Yep.
If you have something that's a 002, it's something that you should contact Scinomix, either the account manager because you know who they are, or just reach out to us at sales@Scinomix, and we can talk about how we can upgrade. The 001s we're trying to replace all of them because of the printers that we're trying to get out of there.
Yep.
But at least 002, it's worth a conversation.
Yep. Can I integrate image capture into other Scinomix automation?
Currently, you can just put image capture on the VX2, VXL. You can have the bulk feeders with image capture. That's not an issue. The issue comes when you have machines that you're also dispensing with, so either with the peristaltic pump or with the AQ pipetting system. The camera's really close to where the filling would be. There is concern about spillage and what it would do to the camera. For the AQ system specifically, it's even more important because if you can remember back the visual of when we did the demo, there is the light and the mirror are super tall within that roller, and the pipetter can't get down into the tuber vial to be able to fill it.
Yep.
So if you think anything will be able to work except for the filling options that we have with the image capture module.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And to add to that, you can integrate this on a larger platform as well, right? So put it with a scheduler. If you have it on a full production line or larger integration platforms, this is also compatible with that because everything is kind of housed inside of the VX and can be controlled the same. So just want to highlight that. Final frequently asked question, are there any additional requirements to use the image capture module?
So there's one additional requirement, and it has to do with the PC, the computer that's running the software. The camera actually has a port that plugs in to the PC specifically so that it can run, and it needs a lot of data communication back and forth. So you should look for a USB 3.0 port, and there's an easy way to look for it. Either right around where you're plugging it in, right above it, it'll have the letters SS, or if you look into where you actually plug it in, if that bar is blue, you know that it's a USB 3.0 port.
Yeah, I would say newer PCs or laptops, all of them have it. Awesome.
Okay, so now the floor is open for the Q&A questions. Nick's going to pull those up and let's see what we have, and we'll go from there.
Yep. Yeah, we've got one question in there currently from Kim. Hi, Kim. How about glass vials and visual documentation of the sample inside? Any thought on image capture in terms of defects as far as hazy or particles? And I can say at this point, no, we haven't advanced it that far. I think that's a great kind of next step. But right now we are just still kind of in that validation capturing around the label. So thanks for that question. That's very, very helpful. Anybody else have any questions?
This is that uncomfortable moment where someone might be typing. So
yeah, we'll give them a minute or so. Not a problem. I like to look at it as we've answered all of the questions and they don't have any more.
I mean, Nick is my rock star. So while, it looks like we...
Yep, so Kim popped up one more QR code and option. So yes, we can validate both 1D and 2D codes. So QR data matrix, you have your code 128, 39, everything in between for the most part is what we have in there as an option.
So yeah, there's a long list of barcodes,
and it keeps growing
in our software that I don't know at all what they mean, but every time someone asks for a new version, our software department just puts it in. So we can handle most barcodes that are in the system. So we'll give a few more seconds to see if other people are answering. But I always like to say, as soon as you leave this webinar, someone's going to think, oh my goodness, I should have asked Nick, I should have asked Mark more questions about image capture, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. If you have a current system and you know who your account manager is, reach out to them. You can ask those questions or even ask for a virtual demonstration specific to your labware. If you don't have an account manager yet, reach out to sales@scinomix.com, or you can give us a call, 314-298-9800.
Awesome. Yeah, and also to note, we do have another session. We'll be doing the same content this afternoon for some of our folks who are maybe not awake yet, starting their days. So if you have colleagues and you're around at 3 p.m. Central Time, we will be doing this demonstration again. So the more, the merrier.
And are we good with questions?
Yep, looks good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for taking the time this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you are. And always stay tuned for our next Scinomix Learning webinar.
Yep, thank you. Have a great day.